Welcome to the Trinitech Cast. This is episode 130 and we are recording on the 14th of September of 2025 after the worst week of traffic I have seen in the recent past of my schooling life. I take back everything I said last week earlier. I am sorry. I am a teacher. I'm sorry I created that nightmare for all of this week. My goodness. Welcome to my co-host, Akimia. Go ahead, Akimia.
Yeah, you know, now that you say that, because this was my first week heading into traffic in a new route. So I was like, this is how it's going to be every day. But now that you say that, I kind of relieved knowing that, okay, this is not the baseline. Because by Friday, it get a little better.
Yeah, like it get better.
First thing Tuesday was real bad.
What? Yeah, because there are some schools that, most of the private schools, they will open until Tuesday, Wednesday. All them private preschools and things. Tuesday, Wednesday. So Wednesday was the worst. Wednesday, I was ready to flip some tables or kick somebody or some kind of thing like that because I get caught in a piece of macro traffic at 6 o'clock in the morning. I leave home at 5:30. I did the best I could do. That's what I should do. And yeah. So yeah, one of my brethren who's listened to the podcast tell me I sounded very cocky last week when I said I am the reason for your traffic, and I'm sorry, y'all. I'm real sorry. Like, please don't do me that. Don't do me that. But this week should be better because parents will have figured out the route and they don't have to kiss their child every time they come out the car now. Like, you should realize that. Okay, you can kiss your child before they leave the car, right? But you don't have to come out of the door, out of your door, walk around to the other side, open the door for them like it's a chauffeur, kiss them, close their door, and then walk back to your car to drive off. Like, that's a whole 30 seconds that stack up. Like, they could they could take up their own bag, I believe.
That is just done for some people. Like, yeah.
Ah,
it depends
boy.
on the age of the child.
I see your little heart coming out there.
It depends on the age of the child. Like, if it's standard, like if it's the first day at school, like first day at primary school, first time in preschool, that's good, kind of.
All right, before
standard, whatever, and secondary schools.
I teach in a secondary school. I see real kisses pass this week. But anyhow, yeah. Did you shed a tear? Did you feel any sort of emotional letting go?
Not really. You know, it was more kind of, I wouldn't say nervous, but kind of anticipation because it's a different environment. I kind of step up in terms of needing more independence because preschool to primary school different. Mm-hmm. So it was just that like the day before, but I did like the day of it, and after I was like, no. All right.
Okay.
My wife was different though. She was.
Yeah. It'd be like that. That's all right. We understand. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We have an interview episode today, so we really want to just jump into it. And Michaela Duckwy. So if all you want to message on Instagram and be like, why are you ducking Akima and Andre for? It's that's why you just get people cancelled, you know. You just go and publicly say, message them, DM them, tell them everything, and then just be like, you don't think that you have as much reach as you have. Anyhow, today we're speaking to a young tech entrepreneur. Dude's name is Tevin Coleboy. Let's bring him on the inside. Hi, Tevin.
Hey, good night, guys. So good to be here.
Yeah, Tevin put on the tie, you know. He put on a suit and tie. Okay, wait. You know when you had that COVID meeting? We don't know what pants you have on, you know. We don't know what.
But no, we actually have one. The full suit. It's all about it's all about the big eventually.
Hey, well, good for you. Because if I put on a suit, it's because I had to meet somebody ridiculously important. I don't know. I think I have 2 suits in my arsenal. And if you see both of them, that means you're wrong with too much. That's what happened.
Like before the summer going here, because this summer I get a couple. Like before the summer I only had 1 suit. And that 1 suit I wore it for my graduation in UE and for my wedding.
Wow. Whoa. I love this podcasting thing because you just find out things about people that you're talking to for almost 2.5 years. You are 1 suit, boy. I thought I was bad. Okay, there was a point in time when I only had 1. But I had others, right? But back in them days, big suits was cool now. Like a baggy suit, like baggy pants and everything was cool. So I can't wear those anymore because they're just like, So I only invested in one proper, like, fitted, gun mount and them kind of thing. And I used to beat that out until I had to get a blazer to host events or some kind of thing like that. But anyhow, yeah. All right, so that's Tevin on the suit here. Tevin Cole, welcome to the podcast. One of the most informally cool tech conversations that you could find on the internet, because we just love technology and we love people who love technology, boy. And you look like a man who loves technology. So let's see what we're going to be talking about today in episode 130. We're talking about your founder's journey. Basically getting to know how you reach from small man to founder, because everybody have a small man journey. We talking primary school all the way up to secondary school to university, everything, and then you deciding, hey, I want to be a software developer in the worst software development environment. That is possible, yeah. And then building the product. We talking about Councilors Connect. He has a MVP. I don't know how far I reach along in the app process, but as we will have some techie talk, and we'll find out the whole process of software development for him as an indie developer, or if he have he have some Indian developers working in the background and he just, the face of it, because something like that. I meet a man like that. But anyhow, the big picture, Tech in the Caribbean, that's the third thing that we're talking about. How he sees Tech in the Caribbean versus how me and Akeem see Tech in the Caribbean may be totally different, and he may have different experiences. So we want to talk through some of those experiences and see where this conversation takes us. So I'm glad to have you all locked on, and let's go into the first thing to try to figure out, who is this dude, Tevin Cole? Right now you're listening to Training TechCast, and more than likely you know that I love technology a lot, but more so I love teaching technology. I'm a CSEC IT and Cape Computer Science and IT teacher, and I have classes that's available. So if you know anyone, any student that's looking for quality Cape Computer Science or CSEC IT classes, you can check us out 308-8799 on WhatsApp or makeitsimplett.com/register. You can get classes, notes, recordings, IA, SBA help, everything that you could think of that will get you that one in CSEC IT. So you can check us out. All right, Tevin, starting from where you from?
So
geographic wise.
I'm from Diego Martin in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, that's now. Wait. Are you the Diamond Vale Diego Martin, or are you the Cookery Diego Martin?
Neither, but I'm closer to Diamondville than I am to Cookridge.
All right, cool. No further questions.
As somebody from South, I have no idea what that's supposed to mean.
but you know what I mean when I'm talking about Diamondville and Cookridge, right?
Yeah, I'm not really talking about Diamondville and Cookridge, man.
All right.
You didn't even give out Westmoreland, nothing.
No. Diego Martin. Nobody who from Diego Martin would say Diego Martin if they were from Westmoreland. They'd say Westmoreland. Like, that's a fact. That's a fact. Okay, cool. Just talk again. I think I was getting some kind of breaking up in your mic.
Hey guys, what is up?
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah. All right. It's sort of probably was just the internet. Yeah. So you're from Diego Martin, right? Primary school and thing. Where you came up from and. We started from primary school because I went to a private preschool, but I went to La Puerta Government Primary School, which is located right in the outer the traffic is right in front of my space there, and from there I would have passed my first choice, Fatima College. La Puerta, I camped there with my scout at a point in time. I remember that. Yeah. And it was well. Let's just say
it was something. It was something fun like.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be Cub Scout in La Puerta as well before.
Oh, for real?
I used to be a Cub Scout, and I actually used to do a lot within this region for scouts and stuff like that. Up until maybe 2 years ago when I came back from university and I gave a talk at the, they have, I can't remember the name of it right now, but that transition period from being a Cub Scout to being a
scout and adventure scout. Yeah. Well, I'm a full-on group scout leader for Tunapuna Scout Group. So
serious?
Yeah, I know the ins and outs of scouting to the point where I think I know too much. Okay, I don't know too much. I know too much about scouting that it's bad that I know all of that, because you start to get to know people and all them kind of things, and the children cool, but people sometimes can be weird, boy. But that's a part of the journey. All right, okay. Fatima, yeah.
I went to Fatima afterwards.
Akeem judging you.
That's all right. I'm some men. I know some men is do.
I know South men, when they hear Fatima, they just think Benedict's and Benedict's versus Fatima.
No, like for me, I have nothing. No.
I don't mean
yeah, Fatima. I don't mean. I don't mean it. Don't mean nothing to me, but I have no feeling, cause like back then in secondary school, I had no idea. I didn't used to pay attention to it.
There wasn't any rabs and thing the into secondary school. I think the football league going on right now. Close to me, there's the matches for the complex. They had a couple of matches there. I think they happened once tonight. If not, tonight, that one yesterday.
Yeah, like for me, going to football matches, you didn't really used to be the football. You used to go to see fields.
For the females, yes, it is a fact. And the girls used to go to Taunt Boys by standing on the banister and leaning over and it was rough. I never went because I went Holy Cross, so we wasn't really a football in school.
Yeah. So I mean, we talk about primary school, secondary school. So like in terms of growing up and coming up, what kind of spark your interest or your passion for technology? It could be something from a young age or secondary school.
To be honest with you, like in my fascination with technology started with my first laptop, which I got when I did SCA. After my first choice, my mom said, you know what, she'd buy me my very first laptop. Well, looking back at it now, it really was an underpowered laptop, but it used to do all kind of things on that laptop. I used to tear it apart, put it back together, hard drive this, hard drive that. I used to be running games I shouldn't be running on that laptop, really. Do have that Intel Pentium something. But I would say that's definitely where my fascination for technology started, because from there, no matter how much I tried to run in the other direction from it, I'd always bring me back to exactly what I was comfortable with. Also, my mom used to like to play games on his laptop too. Like, he didn't give me any chance to get any kind of free time. After homework, it was called the Travis Helicopter game on the old Windows laptops. So I'm not sure if anybody remember this. And it was an overhead helicopter game that they used to just go on. Lots of explosions and stuff like that. So like this was back, I think this was 2011 or thereabouts. I didn't have internet at the time, but I was very content with everything that laptop came with while I was on it. And then I was fortunate when I got into secondary school, from in Fatima, we would have gotten the laptops provided by the Ministry of Education at the time. So
a CAM laptop?
Yeah, that was a CAM laptop. Mine is still somewhere nearby. But also too, that was one of my first set of exploration into networking. Because when you're running COD LAN, you will have the
ping had to be low.
One place is everybody when you have a little free period. That's what we used to be doing middle class. Like got plenty of detention for that too. But that was just how it used to go. You get detention, you go in detention and you play COD again. So
Yeah. So you opening up laptops at age 11 for fun.
There was just something really fascinating about it for me. And well, I think at the time, that was really true. I was very much interested at the time. So when we did get internet, that was kind of like my outlet for meeting new people, playing games, or whatever the case might be. Remember, Skype was the big thing at the time, I used to play a game called Minecraft. That was really where my
you say Minecraft like it's used to, like it's not a thing anymore, where Minecraft still pumping.
A lot has changed. I have changed so much then. Like I generally can't even play games anymore because like the mental capacity it takes to keep up with doing everything so quickly. Like I genuinely just don't have it in me anymore. I download a game, do the tutorial, and by the time it's tutorial done, I am tired. Like I'm tired and I don't even after that.
You know what else do you say? You used to play a game called Minecraft. Like it is Like if we don't know what Minecraft, we're not that old, you know. We know what Minecraft is.
I understand.
I know. I guess I don't know if maybe for you guys, in you guys' time, I guess you're much older than me. But it might have been something else.
No, it turned out bad. It turned out bad. We know what
bad.
something.
Them kind of thing, and that wasn't really me. That wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, Tevin, how old are you?
I just recently been 24 on July 11th.
Okay.
Yeah, so you was like GTA San Andreas kind of time.
Andreas,
yeah. But GTA Vice City, yeah, know too much about GTA Vice City.
I did the GTA Vice City on the PS1.
Right.
Yeah, that was like my first house. At the time, I had I borrowed a console from my cousin, which she left via Vice City.
Borrowed air quotes. You know when you go by your cousin and you leave and be like, hey, I could borrow this or and it was only Christmas time your cousin come for food and they're like, wait now, where my PlayStation? And that time, it's set up fully on your thing.
I didn't go on again, but that was it.
Okay. So your Sparking technology is basically hardware networking for the purpose of playing games, which is generally how a lot of, especially boys, but girls really into it these days too. They get into it because they want to become a game developer, they like how games work, or they want to tweak the games and things. So before we get into the technical part, you ever hack one of the games? You ever try to go on?
Yeah, so that's where later on when I came into Minecraft, I was we will get into this further a little bit later, but that's actually where I started my first set of modding. So I actually was a Minecraft developer, plugin developer, servers, and this was back 2013 to 2015. So Minecraft modding was now becoming big on the scene. You see how Roblox is now with all the games,
indie games,
Yeah, that's how Minecraft was about 10 years ago. Like where anything you would really put your mind to, you could once you're tenacious, because I remember I used to watch tutorials on YouTube and literally try and for school it never used to work. And I guess maybe because I was so young and didn't really understand why it didn't work at the time, I gave up maybe like 8 or 10 times in the same year before I finally got something to work. And from there it was like races. Like nobody can stop me from there. I worked from many servers at the time, and many of these servers were US based and stuff, and so that's actually where my first incantation of my software engineering side, where I started programming Java, and from Java it went to pure Java. It used to be a container of sorts for Minecraft, but then it was pure Java for doing a lot of the server code and stuff like that. Anything you wanted to, anything you really could have put your mind to, you could have done it in Minecraft, and that was really my outlet for meeting people, making games, and then making games that I like so that I can meet more people. And then that's where I started to come out of my shell from being very introverted to being very extroverted now.
Right.
I guess during that time when you was doing the Minecraft stuff, you were still in secondary school. Yeah,
so I was very much still in secondary school, and that was is around that time, closer to maybe about Form 3 or so. I had a mass, I had a group of friends that we used to play Minecraft together. But we were all old enough, we were like, I was sat and decided, we was thinking about what's the next move, what's happening, because, and so we decided that's the first incantation of my company, which was called Vision Coding at the time. It was a startup. It was founded by 4 persons, which included, and this was at the age of about 14. And we used to we would pitch to larger servers as a group, and now we will be able to charge a lot more, a lot more efficient when it comes to dealing with clientele, dealing with marketing, designing websites, and learning a lot more about the process, but now getting paid to do so. And so we came together and decided we would do this for as long as we could. The end goal was to send everybody to university. So all 4 of us in the group, it was to send everybody to university. We were thinking about that at the time. When we made enough money, everybody went to university, and this is history.
So you are one of those people who could like say the now graduate but could say that 10 years experience. Honestly, yes. Unfortunately, I wish I had just a little bit more, maybe 15. With the way that things really in the job market right now. But yeah, absolutely. Like, even when I was considering before I went to university, I was like, I thought to me, I didn't really need to go to university, because by that point in time,
I was already so familiar with object-oriented programming concepts, UI design, networking, security, cybersecurity, hacking, and stuff like that. That to me, it felt almost as if that going to university would have been a waste. However, I changed my mindset as it relates to why I was going to university. And I always say this, like everybody who was in my year group knew that I never went to university for the education, really. I didn't need to do that. I went to university for all the experience. All the girls, all the parties, but most really and truly all the experiences that comes with being a professional in a more professional setting, especially seeing how important it is for a software engineer, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, I guess the networking as well. 'Cause a lot of people, you pass through university with, you could form good friendships or acquaintances and stuff like that. But I know you say you didn't really go for the education, but in the end, did it result in you learning anything new, really, or it was
anything new? For sure, absolutely. I would say like it gave me a greater appreciation for delivering a software package in its entirety, because I mean it's very easy to have ideas are worth pennies, right? Everybody have an idea, but how do you get from an idea to an actual implementation or an actual tangible product? And a lot of people really appreciate the process of like going through a specification document, a requirements document, building wireframes, product testing, user testing, and the other things. Because even when I was launching my first product, like I can't tell you, like I was extremely, I was very scared, very, very, very scared, because I was like, in my mind, with the knowledge that I had, it shouldn't have been that hard, right? I carded as particularized. I said, you know what, I give myself 4 weeks, right? The product
lies.
The product took 8 weeks. That's because after the 4-week period, it was like, okay, I started to beat that alpha test and started to give it to people who never used the product before. And you know, there's a joke on the XKDC comics where it's like, you know, a software developer will do like 500 unit tests, and they will never do anything. And you give it to a customer one day and somehow they found something that you did not think about whatsoever. Yeah. The whole app burns down, right? That's the experience that I had. And literally I would have days where I would be up from like 5 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night trying to figure out what is the problem and exposing myself to different architectures and understanding that I can't do everything myself. Sometimes I may have to reach out to somebody who has more of an expertise, but a different perspective was way more valuable to me. And I think that's something that I got from university, because some of those courses, really and truly, as much as I didn't need the education, the lecturers really and truly, they taught me a lot about the real world.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much, you could have as much knowledge as you want, but if it doesn't meet the specifications of like the customer, the lecturer in this case, like it means absolutely nothing, because you will get a zero at the end of the day. You could spend, there were days where I used to spend, I used to wake up, start a program, eat, go back and sleep, wake up and just program for literally days on end, just to wake up. And I would get like WX widgets for C++, just not working at all. I just didn't even bother submitting the assignment. And I was like this was a class that I had perfect attendance in, had perfect assignments in up until that point. And that one assignment sent my average all the way down.
All right, so you're exposed to a lot of languages. This will kind of segue to the next part. Which language do you think is most applicable right now for any developer, specifically Caribbean developers? Like if I am a teacher, right, and I go and tell my class, listen, or just make sure they're good in this, because no matter where you go, you have to be able to handle this. What you tell them?
Probably JavaScript.
Because web design. Because of web design.
Yeah, I think web design is a very easy way to introduce many, I would say, non-coders, even coders to life. I started in Java, right? And Java taught me.
Sadly,
Java. Yeah, so Java.
I also started in Java.
System.out.print or console.out.print. That's what it is. Which one it is?
Yeah.
Okay,
and Java, I appreciated starting off in Java because Java taught me about objects oriented, a lot of high level, in my opinion, high level concepts that made me, once I said, it took me 10 times in the first year, and I failed every single time. But for some reason, I always go back. And the one time I got it, it was like a realization to me. It's like, how did I not get it before? You know, but actually, down effect from knowing objects and classes and how inheritance works and polymorphism and in singletons, static files and stuff like that. That was taking those high level concepts, made it very much easier for me to go into JavaScript. But I would like to say that I have the awareness to know that most people would not think like me, and so they may need to ease into the programming concepts. And I think JavaScript does a really good job of allowing you to do that before you get into things like, as I said, like polymorphism, inheritance, abstract classes, interfaces. Like, it was actually like, what's the difference between an abstract class and an interface? What are you telling me?
You teaching my ComSci Unit 2 class right now, because I had to explain polymorphism to them, and they like, but we doing C now. So you learning C, but I had to explain to you that polymorphism is a thing. But them don't understand it. The only way is learn that is when Java burn you. Literally. Java have to like light a fire underneath you, and you have no choice but to be like, okay, I need to understand how polymorphism works, because I have no idea what's going on with this code. And that is that's why I asked you that question, because the experiences of different languages, from like my experience in my time, then we'll just be like C, C++, and then everything else. Once they'll always tell you, once you know C and C++, you could learn anything else. Lies. Yeah. Like object-oriented programming is wild, and it way different from functional programming. So whenever I meet somebody exposed to multiple languages, I was like to hear what's their view on those different languages.
I definitely would say that to answer your question with JavaScript, it's like, that's more about recent development, because I was running from web development for so long, right? HTML, this and this, how finicky HTML files, CSS, and the JavaScript. And then I started to get into the meta frameworks. So I'm a big fan of SvelteKit. SvelteKit, for instance, that is actually my preferred version of a JavaScript framework. I'm not
I'll act like I know, because I'll be like, of course.
I actually do some stuff in Svelte these past couple of years. Yeah. So I'm real surprised to find somebody else that do Svelte.
Yeah, but you see, because I think, unfortunately, I'm gainfully unemployed at the moment. So in the grand scheme of things, so like I don't necessarily have to constrain myself to what jobs to add. So like React Native, like you would find a lot of jobs React Native unless for Svelte. So a lot of my personal projects I used to build with Svelte, and to be honest, it made me enjoy the process of building websites and stuff like that. And that's why I got more into the web app development and stuff like that as of recent.
Right.
So you say you do something 10 times, but then a whole year passed and you don't know why it failed or why it wasn't working. That was a real important skill you was building.
Resilience.
Resilience, and being able to keep going at something until you figure it out without just giving up. So within that, you was building a skill to help you now.
Absolutely.
That way you have 10 years experience at 24. All right, so we're gonna move on now, guys, to app that Tevin has been working on. It's called Councilors Connect, and we want to talk a little bit about it and what he envisions for it, and kind of figure out the process, because to build an app in Trinidad and monetize it and all that kind of thing, it ain't easy. So let me talk through that and see how this 24-year-old young man is probably thinking a little differently to the average 24-year-old right now who's buying Yuma tickets.
True.
Well, you probably made it this far in the podcast. That means you probably like technology a lot and like to at least hear us talk about technology. And that also means you may know somebody or somebody who knows somebody or somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who wants a website built or an app built or some sort of technology integrated in their business. If you want to help them out, you could send them to Make It Simple TT, send them to us. And we have business services that range from building websites to building apps to invoicing systems to ensuring that technology is used in your company to installation of routers, buying things online. So you could check us out, 308-8799. You could check our services out. Or you could go to makeitsimplett.com and see some of the things that we've done. And maybe give a recommendation to our website built or something like that. All right. So you have done little software projects in between and whatnot to build up your skills on. Most of them, more than likely, they were like hobbyist apps and different things and stuff that you probably put out to a small market and you kind of learn the ins and outs of users and the drama. So you just kind of explain that to us, like from since 14, you're trying to make money. You're trying to build a proper software for people. University sort of took you through the concept of understanding, okay, coding is one thing, but software development is a whole different bag of chips. And you have to now think strategically, structure and all that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
So we're going to basically go through, the teacher and I will basically going to go through the software development process and see where you're at and how your process is there. Waterfall model, of course, because
that's this model.
Of course it is, but yeah. But so from the idea, right? So what's the problem you're trying to solve with this thing, boy?
So the problem that I was trying to solve, and this is something because, well, I haven't lived in Trinidad consistently for the past 4 to 5 years, including COVID, due to university. So when I did come back, I was quite in the election season, Right.
Oh,
I was looking at, even when I was out there, you would look at the things that are going on in the country. I'm always like, I'm a big fan of Trinidad and Tobago. Like, this is my land, this is my island of birth, and one of the best Caribbean islands that it has.
Boy, wave the flag. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
we love the patriotism.
Like, even my time when I used to look in and try to understand, like, what were some of the things, or, where were we falling short? And I'm not looking at, as a party politics person, I'm a country first person, and figuring out, how could I, because I'm coming back after studying for 3.5 years, coming back with a degree, what am I going to use it for, right? And another mindset that I had was the fact that, the job market is a little bit iffy right now, so I might just, the next 8 months wondering what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? Or am I going to start putting things out into the world? And so Council Select was a platform that I designed to centralize information to make local government. I decided to start small. I wanted to do the whole Tobago, and then you had to be running from Lagos Martin. Down south and back is a whole day thing for me. Right? So we said if that traffic. Like by the time I reach down south and reach back, fortunately I think Trinidad is the perfect size where you can go and come back and in one day. And in places like Jamaica, like you had a plan to go to Kingston before you come back. I didn't come back in the same day. But the platform was built to centralize the information about local government councillors, to give details, to give residents an easy way to be able to make reports within their constituency to councillors without leaving the comfort of their home. Everybody, it's very easy for someone to, you're passing on the roadway, big potholes. I don't know about potholes in Trinidad, right? Yeah, I jumped in a pothole into the gym today, and I had to come out and make sure that my car was still in one piece. It was that, it shake up because like that. But to have residents to be able to proactively and from the comfort of their mobile device to be able to make reports to a councillor, and this is one of the most fundamental things, and get status updates from that councillor whenever, like, if they were to take it to a meeting, for instance. We all know, like, a lot of people don't have an appreciation of the local government process. There was legacy government, this and the government that. Your local government is responsible for a lot of the things that go on in your constituency.
Yeah. That's actually people you should be quarreling with,
So instead of calling the minister this, the minister that, the minister has nothing to do with you should go to regional corporation. And even for those who do that, allocation, there's a process of allocation for resources. You don't have 200 backhoes that's waiting to come and clear drains all the time.
And this man really had 10 years experience, boy. You figure this out at 24. I know big people my age that still don't understand how the world does work, the country does work. But then, wow, amazing. Yeah, good.
That was the whole process. And another thing too was just like figuring out who is your local councillor. Like, I didn't know for a long time who my local councillor was, and they had an office on the main road.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't something I never used to see them. You know, we always talk about we never see MPs or councillors, or the case might be, and really and truly understanding their structure is not every day. They have the time to. Some days they have office days. If I have to do is I like to go and bother my local councillor or MP. I might just want to check in sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
You might have a query of concern, but you know, in my opinion, you always reach out to people when you have to get something from them. You know, contact, you build a good relationship, but you make a report. The councillor was able to aggregate your report into a summary, and they can take it to a meeting, and then you will get updated. Hey, your councillor is actually working for you. You know, the council can provide updates based on your particular reports. You can group reports, even if it's multiple residents complaining about the same thing. You can group reports and stuff like that. And I felt as if that would be making it was solving a problem, which was connecting the residents to councillors, making that bridging that communication barrier, as well as allowing councillors to do their job way more efficiently.
Right. So then you have the idea and you have like the problem that you want to solve, and then, well, next thing is analysis, right? So you analyze something. You ever hear about the local app?
Yes, I have. I was actually at the launch when it launched last year at Hyatt. I was there.
We have some views about it on the podcast. I don't know if you ever heard about them before. Heard about the views that we have about it on the podcast, but do tell us your views on the local app. So, because that's basically a competition, or by what you would see, yeah.
To some extent, yes. So the local app, to me, it is a good idea, right? And I do give props to, I believe, I did meet the gentleman. I think it's NK, the developer behind.
I don't know. I can't remember. I think we mentioned the name, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, we have interacted at the time because I was interning at the ministry at the point in time. And so we had a conversation about it and stuff like that. It's a really good idea, but even when I think it's a little bit lacking on the implementation side. To say the least, I would like to say that, and that's because I tried to use it myself. I tried to use it at the time when it was launched at the presentation. I tried to use it much after the fact, and really and truly, it is. I do get the updates when it comes to like weather, adverse weather and stuff like that. But there is a lack of tactile feedback, in my opinion, when it comes to making reports and getting something out of it from me as a reporter, for instance.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what we gathered from it. Like for me, same thing. You know, the idea is a good idea, but the issue really is, you know, the process. But you could have all the technology implemented well, but if I come and report this issue, right? And then it goes to whoever else. And then that person taking 10 days, 10 weeks, or 10 months to respond or to do anything. This is not really the technology. Technology working fine, but it's the people in the process. Because it's tough that we would have looked at when the app was launched last year or whatever. And then you go, now it's still pending. Or it's
still assigned.
Assigned. Nobody do anything. So I mean, whether or not if the app have some implementation issues, that is like a fundamental thing. You report something, somebody need to come in.
There's some business process in between. Yeah, I know opening up the last update was 5 months ago. Guess what happened 5 months ago?
Election.
Yep. Because that's the things that we kind of have to deal with when we thinking about implementation of things in Trinidad with respect to the government. So when you going through your stuff, did you think about that? What your thought about it when it came to, all right, how do I ensure that my application is party proof? It is regime proof. Yeah.
Right. So as it relates to how I thought about that, it was a very good observation, as you said. I didn't particularly see the review that you guys would have done on the app at the point in time. I actually got introduced to the podcast related to it actually, when I got back to Trinidad. But the way that I thought about it was in terms of party politics and being able to curb that. There's so much to be said about the party politics within Trinidad and Tobago. That could be a whole other podcast on its own. But I thought that it would make more sense to attach the app is focused more so on the local governments, not particularly through a ministry of rural development and local government, for instance, being able, and I actually engage with the council. So I've met with all the councils within the Martin, for instance. And
cool.
The idea, I let them know, invited them to the pilot program, and a lot of them were there to help me test the process of being able to, because even as a council, you can make reports to yourself, if that makes sense, residents or the case maybe you make a report so that when you go back to the office, you can then aggregate all those reports that you have done, and it is put in our format that you can then take to a meeting, right? Then you will see it kind of takes you, it saves you time in that process, because now you don't have to go and look into it. Boy, I know some councils will let that they get like their phone no stop ringing. Right? 6 o'clock in the morning, phone ringing from they're not in the office, phone ringing, then in caucus or in council at the phone ringing, right? Or there's always something going on in the council. And so we really actually tried, I try to push the fact that it saves them time, it makes their life easier, but it is supposed to last the longevity of their tenure. So whether they run for re-election or not, the app will still, the app is set up in such a way where you can search by district, for instance. You don't necessarily have to know your council, but if you search by district, it lets you know who your council is, it gives you their office information, their contact number, their email address, or whatever the case might be, but it allows you to make a report directly to the district. And even when a council comes and goes, guess what? When a council comes and goes, their account changes from a council account to a regular resident account, and the new council can now take up essentially the matter from where they left off, and they'll have people in which they could work with. They could go back and see, okay, what was addressed, what was not addressed, which resident was about any particular issue, which notes were taken to meetings, and what was the meeting minutes from those notes,
Right.
The whole point is to have a source, an accurate source of data collection, because with all this data, now guess what? You can make better and more accurate estimations for your budget, for instance. You can request allocations for certain things for your district, your regional corporation, your borough, whatever the case might be. And then now it is no longer a guessing game of what do you think we need? What do you think we need this year? It's hurricane season. How much handbag we need, whatever the case might be. Now we can look at it. Last year we had 500 and something requests for sandbags, whatever the case might be. We can do a little bit of software engineering magic. We can look at trends over time and say, all right, we could probably give you a good estimation that we may need about 585 this year from 500. Or you know what, maybe there was developments to the river in the region, and so now there's less flooding occurring to residents' houses, for instance. And so, we may drop it down to maybe like 485, 495, whatever the case might be. But having that source of data collection and as I said, having it live throughout the tenures of multiple councils, I think is a great idea.
Now, you used to pay attention in social studies or something, like, because you had to understand the ins and outs of the problem that you're trying to solve, and it seems like you understand it to a very high extent, to the point where I feel like, wait now, I wonder if you know more than me about this, boy. But because the understanding of how local government works I think is so undervalued. And the fact that you understand it to the point where you build in a solution for the problems that it could have, that's real cool. I'm ridiculously excited. My face don't show excitement very well, but I'm very excited that a human being like you exists right now. But anyhow, good, yeah. Akimi was going to ask something, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So kind of similar to when we talk about the local app, in terms of the people in the process. The people in the constituency would make the reports to the councillors, but how would you, get the councillors to actually use the app, to not just to aggregate, but also to respond and give feedback, because again, that's kind of, it had to go hand in hand. The people would report and then the councillors need to use the app. So that's something, like, how would you get them to be on board and not just, You know, sometimes you go to somebody, you pitch something, and you say, "Yeah, this is a good idea. Come and do it," and then they get the app and they don't use it because, as you say, they might be getting phone calls. This might distract them, you know. But they need it. It's a very good solution, but we need the people to actually use it.
Absolutely. Yes, and I think that's a really good observation as well. So, how do I ensure that councillors use the app to its first extent? So, to the pilot program of Councilors Connect, which would have MVP'd earlier in August, we had like
congratulations. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
MVP is important to know. You had to be like, I'm on put work into this. Yeah, good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I had a set period in which I would be on the ground with the councillors actually. Mm-hmm. So even when they are going on about for their routes, I would actually take that time to engage with residents and let them know, like, you don't really have to, well, I don't say you really have to, but like, there's a better way of doing what you're doing right now, instead of having to call your councillors or whatever the case might be. And showing councillors just how easy the process is and how much it saves them time, energy, and resources from going around the district, going in the ins and outs. Because I have observed councillors, yeah. Some days I actually sat down with councillors for the entire office hour, for instance. From like
what? Hold on, wait. You so locked in. You got to sit down and watch them for 8-hour period to observe them.
Yeah, so like to understand, because you can't build a solution that's a problem if you already understand the root.
Hey, you wanna come and teach my class? Like I wanna I tell them observe something for 2 hours and it's be like, what? We have to stand up there. I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on to fix the problem. But then go ahead. Yeah.
So I take a very hands-on approach to engaging with councillors, seeing how they work on a day-to-day, getting their feedback, doing. Listening to residents, showing them how to use the app, showing them, you might have a complaint, for instance, there's some, I'm just going to say, there's some bad boys on the block, and this was a feedback that I would have watched from a resident, and they didn't feel comfortable attaching their name to the report, for instance, and that's where we came up with you could actually, even as a logged-in user, because at Councilors Connect, you can't sign in on a report, but you would obviously not have the functionality of tracking your reports.
Yeah.
Because, they need to have somebody.
Because they have no ID to attach it. Yeah,
there's no ID to attach it. But even as a regular resident, we made it so that residents can submit a report anonymously and it's still tracked, right? But that was a functionality I only came up with after engaging with residents for so long and understanding, they may have a particular complaint about somebody or something that really bothers them. It is a nuisance to the community, the case might be. But, they have that reservation, especially I would like to say, unfortunately, with the climate of Trinidad and Tobago and the crime, they may feel more reserved and more likely to make a report if they know that,
victimization could take place.
Yeah, their name is attached to this particular report or whatever the case might be. And we have a big thing about data privacy and security and ensuring that data does not, we utilize services that are tested, and so we are confident in the ability to be able to keep that data where it should be and not expose any harmful data to any bad actors, whatever the case might be.
Okay.
And so a lot of the councils are showing them really and truly just like, instead of doing what you may do, like obviously you still go around to your constituents, whatever the case might be, but maybe at the day before council, because one day out of the week the council meets and they talk about the issue.
Yeah, that's actually correct. Yeah.
They talk about issues and they have specific committees for specific things, and you may have allocations or you may have a review or whatever the case might be. You would the day before, instead of going around, because at that point in time, like there's only so you're eventually preparing for this big thing. You can sit down and say, all right, it saves you so much time that you can now you can go into the meeting more prepared than you would have been had you not had the platform or the app. And it encourages you to build on the process. Like, okay, we have this pothole or whatever the case might be, this river, this tree that's terrorizing people or whatever the case might be, that you have something to work off of, and it's not always on. And I wonder who called me about this particular time or whatever the case might be, because I said managing people is a really hard thing, and we have to understand that too. Like, not all councillors, there's no. If you look at the legislation and and guidelines, there's no minimum requirements per se to be a counselor. You have people of varying backgrounds,
Of course, yeah. You have people on the ground and you have people who hover over the ground.
The people who are always in shit and I never see them, but people of varying literacy levels and be able to accommodate them in the way that you feel more comfortable is where I would say that our platform excels the greatest at.
All right, cool. We had a fast forward the software development process now. So let me talk technology because there's obviously somebody who's listening to this podcast. I'll be like, all right, yeah, but I want to know the framework the man use. I want to know how we get it on Android, how you going to iOS, how you going to be web and all them kind of things. So let's talk about the back end of it and how you kind of work through that. Of course, you can't tell us everything about it because that is your IP and thing. But just kind of, see what you could see. And we'll kind of poke and prod.
Of course, no problem. So I will the next was from on the get-go that there was a very conscious choice to make Councilors Connect a web application as compared to a mobile application. And that is because of the friction there is with downloading an app from the Play Store. There's a whole process to that. I'm sure you guys would know because you guys have an app on the Play Store, Android, iOS, and knowing that.
Don't raise up my trauma now. Don't raise my trauma.
There was a very conscious decision to make Councilors Connect to be a web app because then one other thing too is that we have interoperability among devices. Phone, laptop, tablets, TV. If you want to make a report on a TV, you can really and truly. And it'll be smart TVs or whatever the case may be. And it's not to say that it is the same app. Some apps I don't mean to promote government right now, but if you go to some of these government websites,
listen, yeah, they'll go, those start us, those start, we could go along with it.
That was a real pain point for me that I really tried to, I said, you know what, it's best that we build this thing from the ground up. Once it's feasible, we'll build this thing from the ground up and expand from there. And so we started to utilize free services, Cloudflare being one of the biggest ones.
Facts, yeah.
I'm embracing things like serverless architecture, how powerful SQL databases can be, and building out a meta framework on our backend so that even if Councilors Connect was to switch platforms overnight, it is plug and play. Right. It's not to say that we have to go and rebuild the whole backend as a service and all the interfaces on the backend. It really and truly is plug and play, and that's what I mean.
All right. Well, you didn't say which one it is, but AWS, when you move something from AWS, it's not plug and play because AWS wicked. One of the things that I appreciate about AWS is that because they're so big in the industry that a lot of, for instance, we use the AWS S3 SDK. I know
plugs in to our backend as a service, which we use various services centered around Cloudflare because of its security. So I'm not too sure how many people may know, but Cloudflare has so many services. They don't just have domains and SSL certificates. They have object stores, e-value stores, they have workers, they have pages, they have domain, DNS, capture. Like capture is such a big thing, especially with now we have AI crawlers going through your website and
I really like the automatic capture that is do.
Cloudflare has so many services that sometimes one of the things we try to balance is vendor locking. So we try our best not to have all our eggs in one particular vendor, but in the places where it makes sense, we do. So for instance, in our where we store, because we do a bit of in Councilors Connect, when you make reports, you can upload images or videos, right?
Ooh, storage though, like that's
so storage is a big thing. We do a little bit of client-side optimization, but on Cloudflare side, they can also do Cloudflare has a CDN. You put a picture closer to somebody, loads quicker.
You can cache it.
Like that was one of the things that was very valuable to me as the product lead for Councilors Connect in being in, because as I said, in Trinidad and Tobago, really and truly the internet has kind of spoiled us in terms of response time. We take for granted how easy it is when you load up YouTube, 10 videos load. You go on TikTok, even if you're offline on TikTok, you have videos loaded. Realize that? Like how much you take for granted, just the fact that the difference between 50 milliseconds and 175 is enough for somebody like me, or like really and truly. The ads on the internet and stuff like that, they're so crazy. Like really and truly, if I see more than if I click in certain websites, any part of the website, it do a pop-up and they send it to a different website. If I don't do that more than twice, I don't bother. It's okay. I will find my content somewhere. You know?
You don't watch out. You don't watch football online.
Like any program waste the time, but some of them really ridiculous. Some of them have 10 pop-ups, right? Before you know the other doing. So
but some football games you really want to see badly. You know? So just put yourself through during.
So we definitely use Cloudflare for I would say a good chunk of our services on the worker side. On the so because it's serverless architecture. On the object storage side, for the CDN services, as well as DNS and domain.
Okay, and front end is just
pure
HTML, JavaScript, CSS, normal web design. With Svelte as the framework.
Yes, Svelte as the framework, Tailwind CSS as our meta framework.
You get people to look at Svelte. It's how to convince them because they're coming from most people as we coming from a React and a React Native kind of vibe.
Really and truly, I think if you know React Native, Svelte will be so easy for you. It's almost like in Java and polymorphism and all the other concepts that make polymorphism what it is. Yeah. Will almost like sing to you. But React Native, really and truly, the reason I chose not to, I actively avoided React and React Native for any of my projects in university was the fact that like this patchwork of getting something to work. That's how React, from what I understand.
It's true.
Really, actually, patchwork, and it makes it bloated. And Svelte was one of the solutions to, let's design it properly. At least it's very from the ground up in a particular way, and I really actually enjoy my time coding as well.
All them React Native men does be going and googling things, copying the code, pasting it in. All right, it work, cool. Let's move on. And then you realize you have like 6 different things that you're pasting, and you don't know why, but it working, and then your app just get real bloated.
Really and truly, and it's like to me, it's more intuitive. Of use effects, and I think I can't remember what exactly it is in React Native. You have derived by, like, all of the things just like make more sense to me. It flows well for me. I'm a mind mapper, so like when concepts map to each other, it's easier for me to remember how it works. Like when I remember, I think a couple of days ago, there was a problem with the app. It was throwing a JSON error, and I hear me a JSON error. Like I use JSON in the app anyway.
JSON.
Not knowing that at the point in time that at that particular point in time, the database was taking a snapshot for backup. And so it just stopped all login transactions for that period of time. I just happened to be on at that time, but that was something I was able to just fix, But
do that 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it was very easy to fix because you can probably tell me my Svelte files are actually very small. Maybe about 200 lines long, and that is JavaScript. HTML, like JavaScript, HTML, any of my imports. If my Svelte files go over 200 lines long, something I could abstract something away, like a component or whatever.
Right. Okay. Now you definitely sound like a proper developer. The reason I ask them questions because we gotta make sure that you're with your salt now. You're with your salt. Any technical questions there, Hakim? No, nothing. All right.
Kind of going back to. But you say something before when you was talking about when you was introing, you say sometimes sometimes when you help some people or somebody to do stuff, So now with the introduction AI, how heavily or how much you just lean on it, Like for me, I will be honest with you, I just really use it. I just really take advantage of it. Maybe because I have this age now and I know, like, for me as a developer, the older I get, the less I really want to be spending time doing a lot of grunt work, in the trenches. Like for you, I mean, you kind of relatively young. Well, not really, since you have 10 years experience, but how has AI impacted your development
process?
Yeah.
I definitely would say that AI, for actually in its starts, I would say I avoided it. I actively avoided it because there was a certain pride I had writing my own code that just refused to allow me to go on and utilize AI in that way. But I think over the years, I would say over the past 2 to 3 years, I have definitely started to embrace a lot more to do the monotonous things or the tedious things. So I will never use AI to solve a particular problem, if that makes sense, if I don't understand the underlying process to solve that problem, right? So I would say, like, for instance, like, let's say we know, like, some people don't know CSS, right? Don't know why a div and a span they may interact differently on a web page, for instance, right? You know, inline block and grid, when to use grid, when to use flex, whatever the case might be. For a long time, I used to force myself to write CSS out just to understand what the heck was going on. So
that's crazy. That is fully crazy. Me writing no CSS ever. God, yeah, sorry.
So that when something did eventually go wrong, I'll be like, okay, understand why, you know, maybe the padding is a little bit too much, and so it's pushing the letters down, you know, and making it look a kind of way. And so when I moved to Tailwind CSS, which is utility classes, to do the exact same CSS that I was doing before, when something went wrong, it was a lot easier for me to troubleshoot or to figure it out. And that's how I use AI, really and truly, to say. So
I'm glad for you, I proud for you. I proud of you. That's the CSS game. Post it straight in Gemini, and I'll just write fix it full stop and like, see what happens.
I had a similar experience in terms of, you know, when it now come out, you know, I was kind of skeptical and probably a little pride too, but then I was thinking, you know, you just go on Google stuff, and sometimes you just copy and paste code. It's the same thing, you know. Cause I used to live on Stack Overflow. You know, so no man, I come to a point that's like, you know, it's kind of the same thing. You know, that's how
like if I was 24, I would be a purist like you, sure. Because when I was 24, I was making sure I understand every single thing. Like I was inside WordPress files and thing, inside HTAccess, config.php, changing all kind. I didn't know nothing about PHP, but I go in and I like, okay, why this is this and all kind of thing. And well, that helped me a lot now when we like build simple websites for clients and thing, and something happened with WordPress. I just tell my staff, I must be like, let's go and change the config.ini file and put this inside it. And he'd be like, so how you know that? I say, there were some dark days in my life. There were some dark days. So you, like, when you reach, you know, around 40 and thing, I ain't saying that you will lose somebody's desire to know how everything working, but the things that you're doing right now, they're going to create a real ridiculous foundation that there might be something 10 years from now. One of your workers or your staff or whatnot, they're trying to get AI to fix it, and he's like, no, just do this. And they'll be like, how you know that? Yeah, that's
and I think one another thing too, I guess maybe is I was fortunate to live through that transition from before AI to AI. So I understand. I know when I get something from AI, I give it a proofread before I hit control.
Of course. You know?
Yeah. Because if I can't follow the flow as to what is going on, then I'm sorry for whoever comes after me, and especially for my client project, whatever the case might be. If my client tries to do something on their website and it breaks, right? Eventually they come to me to figure it out, right? If I can't figure it out, I think that looks and that reflects well on me as a person who would have delivered this project, because I do for ongoing support and maintenance on all of my projects.
Right. Okay. Nice. Well, I really hope that the MVP, the stage that you're at right now, it will build into something that is tangible. And when it does build into something tangible, let us know, because we like the little follow-up stories and things to see the success. The success of how it turns out. So if you reach the MVP stage, that means you're basically going to be cycling through a lot of implementation testing until it gets to the point of deployment. And whatever scale it deploy at, I promise you, I'll make sure that we batten for you.
That so much. I appreciate that.
So let me start to talk the heavy stuff now. Let me start to talk about how technology in the Caribbean is looking and what you have experienced in your journey so far. Because man, you study in Jamaica, So that means you've seen some stuff. You had a little Google internship and thing and whatnot. So let's talk about it, right? So we come back after this.
Same direction. I studied in Barbados.
Oh shucks, my bad.
Yeah, but I went away to Canada on student exchange for 2 years.
Okay.
Within that process, but it gave me a lot of perspective.
All right, we're coming back after the break. All right, so the big picture, Tech in the Caribbean. At our position in life, well, I probably wouldn't have even thought that being a software developer would be a thing in the Caribbean when I was younger, because all I knew was hardware. Computers was basically hardware. You become an IT technician and then become a network manager, and then cool, you would be able to find jobs and things, because hardware into networking is the only path that there is. All the people that were studying computer science, they always used to end up coming and becoming IT technicians after, because, well, they didn't have no software or anything to deal with. Akeem had a chance to see software do something. But
like, for me, it was probably different because I didn't do IT or computer science in secondary school. The first time I do IT was in UE. So the first time I came about software was in my first class in year 1. And I was like, wait, I could just write these characters and then load it and something will happen on a website. And that is what will grasp me into programming. That's what captured me. And from that point, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Like before that, I liked computers, but the software side, that really wasn't on my radar.
Yeah, I was never trying to be a developer. I was really hardware. But eventually, as I kind of got into teaching and I learned a lot about teaching computer science, science became very fun because of the challenge that it was. It's just I was never exposed to that challenge from young, right? So you have seen the Caribbean because you studied in Barbados, I said Jamaica. And you've also seen Canada, where you did a student exchange or something with Google, right? Something along that lines, right?
UE, but then it's through that exchange with UE and Canadian University.
Yeah. If I could get to work for Google, that's the only thing that would stop me from being a teacher. But so kind of break it down for us from a Caribbean perspective. What are the greatest challenges that we face in terms of software development? Not talking about hardware, IT, technician, networking and thing, because you basically buy the equipment and you maintain it and you keep your company up and running. Cool. But software development is more of a entrepreneurial kind of vibe, because you have to create something and sell it to somebody else and get them to want to use it and also maintain it for a long period of time. So what some of the pain points that you would have seen in the Caribbean? If you could give me like 2 or 3, let me see what you have.
I would say that for me, when I look at the Caribbean holistically, I'm talking about from the smaller islands, because I used to live in St. Vincent for a little bit of time in my early childhood as well.
Island boy.
I'm a big fan of the Caribbean. I'm really and truly.
You have family from St. Vincent?
What was that?
Yeah, family from St. Vincent?
My dad's side of my family is from St. Vincent. So
all my grandparents from St. Vincent.
Serious?
Like born in St. Vincent, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so they're most likely related. Yeah. The island kind of small. So
true. Right, but when I look at and went to Canada and seeing how they do things out there, because this is one thing that I used to say, I made the most of my university experience. I went to Canada every weekend. I was in a conference or workshop or something every single weekend. Like, so when the same goes to, so I used to see people in the same from the conference from the week before, and out there everything is supersized. So when I say supersized, like you go to a conference and Domino's sponsoring pizza for the whole thing, and when you think pizza done, like you have a truckload of pizza coming back and again. I really actually used to go for the food.
Because as a university student, things wasn't like, you know.
Like I used to move in with when I used to stay to the very end, so I could see how much pizza in the back, so I could go.
I love it. Oh wow. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
In Caribbean, I see a lot of limitations in terms of funding and investor networking. So the reason I say that is because, like, from the way that you heard me speak, you could probably guess as well that when government puts out documents like Vision 2030, I am there looking for the IT section, you know? Where is the government looking? Where are we looking towards? You know, we know oil and gas is already going down. Well, if it not that, that's it.
It's sloping. It's trending downward for sure. We had to accept that. Yeah.
Where is our next big thing, right? Especially as somebody who's studying software engineering and computer science. It's like, okay, I remember seeing a bulletin point in Vision 2030 that said, you know, they want to increase high technology exports from Trinidad and Tobago. And I said, okay, that sounds like something I can do. Have no idea what that is, right? Did a bunch of research or whatever the case might be, only to find out that when you look at grants and funding and stuff like that, they really don't really have much. You can't expect to increase high technology exports and there's no support or funding or even a network for that. You know, if I was to ask you, like, can you name 3 large, I can name one, but and that one I learned of last year. But if I actually can name 2 or 3 large software engineering startups within Trinidad and Tobago, really and truly, I can't give him. I really and truly can't.
You mean companies that offer software engineering services?
That offers that starts in Trinidad. I'm not talking about the EYs, the consulting companies that come here and they have the offices or whatever the case might be. I'm talking about like companies that actually started here in Trinidad and Tobago.
No, I don't name it. I have some names as well in my head, but they will be. No, it's not laughable, but it'll be a really hard sell. It's a hard sell.
A hard sell, right?
Yeah.
Infotech still around?
No.
I haven't heard of them. If I'm being honest.
You don't know Infotech?
I don't know Infotech.
I know what you're talking about. No.
Resonance.
Right.
Anyway.
So
then you reach like Massy Solutions or some kind of thing, and then it just start to get real muddy. Yeah, it'll get real muddy.
Yeah, and that's when you know things are bad. So the limited funding and the fact that there is no network for startups, there is some things that if you are around the right circles, you will hear about them. But it's more about who knows kind of mentality.
We talked about one last week in the podcast, and I didn't know nothing about it until I saw the article, and then when we check it out, it's like, oh, it's actually a thing. But who knows for
it's a
facts.
Who knows thing, which is bad. There's a lot of bureaucracy. So, for instance, I was a big fan of the fact that when the Ministry of Digital Transformation was a thing, that there was this thing called D-Hub Challenge.
D-Hub, yeah. Right. We interviewed a few of the D-Hub winners here, yeah.
Serious? So, I interned at the Ministry of Digital Transformation at the time, so I didn't qualify but I told them, like, had I not been there at the time, that was where I was going at, because that was such a great idea for me. You have so many young, hungry people, software engineers, graduates who want to do something with their life, right? They want to put that degree to use. They're passionate about making their country a better place, but there's just no opportunities. There's no funding for them to do anything.
Correct. Yeah.
And then there is the public mentality of the fact that, like, I shared this story from a friend of mine's mom who was like, she remembered how much bacchanal it used to be to get POS systems in licensing office, for instance. Right? The pushback that it got from the staff who was working there, from the society, to be able to embrace that change and understanding that, like, that change is supposed to change the technological change. It's supposed to be there to make your life easier, not make it any more difficult than it already is. And to be honest, if I had where's my wallet, right?
Yeah, I have no cash.
My wallet, I don't carry cash with me.
Yeah.
Right?
I like you. I'm like,
small card wallets.
Them kind of Ridge wallet knockoffs.
Yeah,
the Ridge.
It's way expensive. But I also carry my driver's license because I can use it for my ID and my license, my credit card and my bank card. And that's it. Really enjoy it. When I was out in Canada, it blew my mind that, like, I had a transit pass because my university had a transit pass, so paid up front and we could ride the train or any bus we want. We could just go. I used to go exploring. I used to go places I never went. I moved and come back, right? You know? And being able, I had a smartwatch anytime. Don't even have to pull out my thing. I just tap on it and go on to that. you know.
You had a smartwatch at crack up. Sorry. You say
I switched to Apple. I was a Samsung guy, but I switched to Apple. And so I had to sell my watch, my Galaxy Watch 4.
We try to do everything to fund the business, but we know your sacrifice. We know the sacrifice that you're making just so you can be able to afford that framework that costs $12.99 on US or something. Yeah.
So like, you know,
sell the watch, boy. Yeah.
So
when you put it in your book.
They do nothing, but so like, and being able to. So those are the things I would say in my 3 challenges: funding, the process of being able to the bureaucratic process of government and getting technology solutions implemented, and educating the public as it relates to why the solutions matter to them and why they shouldn't be. I am sure, you know, they say it's only really recently I heard that you will see when you see another man come and the elderly people outside the bank, them just do it because it's fun and not because they really want to be there.
Yeah, it's like facts. Yeah.
And in my mind, that's crazy. Like I if I could send your payment from right in my bed, I'm gonna do that. So I don't want to go to the bank and do this and do that. Like digital solutions and digital payments and stuff like that, they make my life easier, and it means that I have time to do things that I actually want to do.
Right. Okay. So out of the 3, I would resonate the most with the bureaucracy part, because the bureaucracy part, I've probably experienced it because we developing software, we developing apps and them kind of thing that make it simple TT, and I bootstrapping everything basically, and the application for grants and all them kind of things and whatnot, it's ridiculously painful.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously painful to even like the Nedco and all them kind of things. At that time I went through the whole process, apply for everything, and I'd be like, this is for kind of like the people who do air conditioning and welding and thing, you know.
Serious.
And I was like, so they have nothing in place for people who do like software. I was like, no, this for like, you know, people who want to build a business with a air condition servicing company or some kind of thing like that. And I was like, and the kind of sharpness I went through to get all of that documentation, all them things in place, and then to reach to the interview phase and find out that them looking for welders, not software developers. That turned me off real bad. So I was like, nah, I'm not asking for nothing again. We're gonna bootstrap the whole thing and make it big and hope for the best, because They say a lot of things in the budget about how they're putting this in place, and they're going to have this grant funding for that and all that kind of thing. And you could go and you could see the website and everything for the application. But what actually happening in the background is that there's just so much people who totally disconnected from the fact that technology is more than just talk. Technology is a level of supporting and processing that has to take place where you have to invest in it for the long run, not just say that you're going to give money. You have to create some sort of framework for them now. So that's the one that kind of resonated with me, and I experienced it. So to see that you experiencing it and you understand it, that make me feel kind of, you know, not too old. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that too, because like, you know, how long, you'll probably experience this too if you ship any software development package. It's like, how long are you going to wait for How long are you going to wait for somebody to tell you yes before you actually action an idea, right? And that is, I would definitely see that it influenced some of my decisions when building out Councilors Connect, for instance, because it's like, okay, finished university in January of this year, got my certificate, but like, let's say like I had the money to just bring on actual huge server. That has the potential to be something, but you know, with databases and the website and whatever the case might be, but having funding be the biggest thing. Like, okay, like as how many months do I have? You know, they say that how many months do I have before like you just broke again? You know?
Yeah.
And it disappears on the face of the internet, and it's almost like you're never there. So that I always try my best to think forward in that sense. So, and that Councilors Connect runs me about
no, you know how to say, you know, it's cool.
Yeah, you know what? It was very it's very memorable for me. Councilors Connect could run until unfortunately I turned into that Sangon.
Because you put the thought in. But once you start to scale, if scaling has started to take place, then It had something. It's scalable at the current cost?
It is very scalable.
Well, that's good to know.
Currently expected, I put a load of about 200,000 people on it, and it was fine, right? It was absolutely fine.
Now I create 200,000 bots. That's a scary thing. You know, when somebody could create 200,000 bots, you're difficult. No. I'm worried about you. Usually one that's putting bots on the Instagram comments under every CNT3 article.
Nah, that's how we fortunately. Right? But yeah, so
alright, okay, cool. Alright, so that's the big picture. Sorry, Akim smiling like he has something devious to ask there, you know.
No, I know. So a message from Michaela. She says she knows you.
Yeah, she does.
Okay.
Well, we know what we do.
They're only same time frame. Okay. Alright, so that's the bad parts. What's the good things that you see? Anything good that you like? I'm thankful that this thing exists. Besides this podcast.
Yes, I do. So I would say, like, I think
he acknowledges the podcast at all. He just kind of go ahead, yeah, let's play. I just play. That's how I am. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So, with the podcast, I think there's a lot of conversation.
No, boy, no, don't do that because I said it. No, I'm just playing.
Getting there, right? But I think there's what we take for granted, what I took for granted too, that the Caribbean is ripe for innovation right now. There's lots of opportunity to have things implemented. We just need the right governance, we need the right buy-in from the people, and we just need the fact that we have such a young population of starving, hungry innovators who are, I would say, willing. Like, given funding wasn't a problem, I would love to see what the tech industry would look like in the Caribbean region on a whole, because we have so many unique socioeconomic challenges, culture, stuff like that many places in the other world don't really understand, and they may not appreciate the fact that we shut down the country for a month to party, to fete, right? To carnival, to do this, or whatever the case might be. And yes, there are solutions that are built for a global scale. So like in Canada, you know, we may have some version of I'm not sure what it'll be called, but we may have in Canada they have, I think it's called e-Interact or something like that. But every bank implements e-Interact so that you can basically send money right on your phone. It's like a cash app, essentially. Like, you know?
Right, yeah. Or Zelle, I think, yeah.
I think that would be the UPI.
The UPI.
Yeah,
the UPI. I think that they implemented the Indian-based one. Yeah, that's supposed to be implemented just now.
So, you know, what is that going to look like in the Caribbean? Is it going to work cross-island? You know, you go to Vincent, you go to Jamaica, you know, wherever the case might be. Like, there is a fair or a transparent exchange of currency, or whatever the case might be. EID, like, I'm not too sure about you, but if I'm being real honest with you, I haven't seen my ID card in years. Really, actually. I have not seen my ID card in years, right? But every time
anybody but me too, because I lost mine. But good, yeah.
Every time I need to apply for something, I need a scan at it. I do that, right? And why can it be so easy as well? We all have, well, not all, but a lot of working people have TT Connect accounts, right? That they use for business, for interacting with somebody ministries, whatever the case might be. Why is it that every time you have to go, you're going from one ministry to another, is a whole different account, a whole different process, a whole different... There's no interoperability, there's no communication between the ministries, whatever the case might be.
We're supposed to be talking about positive things here, but go ahead.
What I think is, you know, there's so many problems that are still unsolved that we're looking for impactful solutions. And I feel like we have the opportunity of being able to see how the world is becoming a better place with the implementation of technology, that the Caribbean region is just really looking for the right set of innovators to push us in that direction.
Okay. So basically, what you're saying is we have a groundswell of young innovators like you. Because for every one of you, there's probably like 5 other people who have the understanding of technology and the understanding of the back end, the understanding of and the tenacity to do it. But we just need to not waste it, because we'll get our brain drain kind of issue where people just be like, you know what, forget it. Yes, I go in California and work for some small tech company that are going to pay me or whatnot and use my skills there. But
so like that is one way it could go. The other way it could go is that you stay here, and you get kind of discouraged or demotivated, and You lose your zeal, you get older, and you settle for a regular job, and you ain't really get to fulfill your potential.
The change industries, all that knowledge, all that motivation, all that vigor that you had for, as I said, making life easier. The way of life easier. All of that just gone. And now we have to expect, the other people, because eventually, I mean, you made mention of it earlier in any podcast, but eventually, people are not as many people are going to be studying computer science and software engineering. They're going to move on to the next thing. What's funny? It was funny to me, something I always realized. It never runs out. There's never a deficit of HR professionals. Why the HR department so big? There's a HR manager, HR assistant. Like, where I go, HR is never lacking, right? Right? HR is never lacking. I've never met anybody who studied HR who does not have a job. Right?
Not to disrespect HR people, but the skill level of HR, they're really not that much. Like being able to, keep track of people and tell people yes they have the job or no. It's kind of but I understand what you're saying. The possibilities that are here, we have to take advantage of it, and we should take advantage of it. And I believe that that is necessary, because most of the actually all of the employees I have, they were students of mine, and they went and do the computer science degree. And I was like, I want to give you a chance to use them skills that I learned here. So all the apps that we build, we learn from scratch. Like we didn't know what to do, but we just kind of we fight through it. And one of my best employees is one of my past students, and I just so glad that she's be happy on a daily basis to code and be like, I fixed this, I did that. Wow, I fight through this and whatnot. I'll just be like, I wish I had that chance. So deep down inside, I want to get rich to become a angel investor. To be like, to watch men like you and be like, here, hold on 100,000. Let me see what you could do for the rest of the year. If you make it, I'll take 10%. That sentiment. Every day I just wake up and I just look around to make sure my complexion hasn't changed and I'm not in some other part of the world. Or every time I just end up being a millionaire, because I think it's just the opposite, as you said. Just to be able, I would fund things just because to see where it goes, See where the solutions push us. I'm not lobbying. It's not really that big of a thing in. It's not really that big of a thing in Trinidad. Let's not go down that road. That's a dark road there.
So, but being able to do things, I would say it proper, like host a huge hackathons, huge conference, and get people in there. We have big anime conventions and things. Like, there's any hackathons in Trinidad?
They're very small.
Yeah. Back in my day, they used to have.
Yeah, I used to carry my students to them and thing and whatnot, but it was, I really ain't gonna go through. I'll end up talking for the next 20 minutes. And but hackathon is cool when you actually have people coding. Let me just put that because so many hackathons that we have, there's actually no code going on. But
even my Canadian experience, I remember the first hackathon I entered, I washed. Like I got washed on my now. I got washed because I was as strong as I thought I was with in software engineering, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
One of the time constraints are right. You'll have 48 hours, like you'll come back tomorrow, like to present, or whatever the case might be, and having to manage a team. Having no responsibility, the product manager, the marketing person, the software engineer, the tester, whatever the case might be, and seeing how something as simple as that could be done in 2 years. That was such a. But I kept going back. Because it was like, okay, like it ended up being fun. It was fun to
because you drank the Kool-Aid. Once you drink the Kool-Aid, you want more of it. You want more of it.
It was really cool to see, and that's just to be able to. So, I think as just to recap, the criminal opportunities, and just looking forward to seeing how that transforms or how that shows itself over the next couple of years.
Okay, well, boy, Tevin, it's been very inspirational to hear your passion when you're speaking, because I didn't really have to ask you plenty questions. You're just kind of like, well, just so excited about it. I do think like you don't look like a man that just talk plenty for talking sake, but the technology, the excitement of it.
I used to, but you know, I've learned over the years that the real skill is being able to say a lot with little.
To communicate.
To keep everything focused and keep it on track. I think that there is great value in my time to be able to just. I was always set it at a minimum expectation. If I was able to just change someone's perspective, even if it's one person's perspective about something about that we talked about, I consider that a success.
All right, nice. Well, this is your chance to plug your stuff. Get them your social media handles if you are on social media. It could be the business stuff. We'll put it in the description of the podcast. If anybody has listened all the way to the end here, it's probably because you care enough. So the stuff that Tevin is about to say, reach out to him now and see if all they could, give him some money. Because or support the thing, because that is what we need, and I kind of unapologetic about it. We need to have some sort of investment kind of vibe, and the kind of passion you have, you should be invested in. So let me hear what you're doing. Yeah.
Of course, I appreciate that. So as I would have said, guys, my name is Tevin Cole. That is TEVINCOLE. You can find me on social media, most social media, either Tevin Cole _ on Instagram, or at my company's website, Vision Software Solutions. So Vision Software Solutions is our website. TevinCole.com is my domain. So you can go to that website and you'll find all my information there. Tevin Cole _ on Instagram. I am also, well, some of the people who will be looking at this will probably be like, wait, nah. I saw in so on so forth. Yes, I am a creative. So I am a photographer and videographer. When I'm by day,
because money has to make, Tevin. Money has to make. Like,
And by night, I'm not taking pictures or doing videos. Right. So many people may know me at Tevin Films as well, or on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and also my website. So you can find me everywhere. And if you literally just Google my name, Tevin Cole.
What you're going to do is you're going to send me a WhatsApp message with all of those links. So I can paste it in there, because I tried to type it in and it wasn't working out there. So
no problem.
Appreciate it. All right, Tevin, thank you very much for coming on podcast, and we'll keep in touch. Always let us know what you're doing, and anytime you feel like that you have something to contribute to the tech community. And ever so often, if we're looking for a little guest to come and talk technology in general, we might just, invite you onto the podcast, and you and McKellar could be like, hey, remember when we was in UE and we had this lecturer who
in effect.
Oh, yes, that is true. McKellar is known. Okay, let's not tarnish her. Let's not sully her reputation. I thought thank you very much. My name is Andre Charles from at Make It Simple TT and at Trini TechCast. That's the only places you're going to see me on the internet, because public social media, personal social media. Yeah, boy. I'm not like Tevin. I don't have time. So you can check us out. You can check Make It Simple TT out. And here's my day one co-host, where you could find him.
Yeah, you could find me right here on Trini TechCast.
Trini TechCast, talking about technology. And we really appreciate you all listening to the interview. And if you so desire, leave a comment, and if you so desire, check the description and reach out to Tevin, and let me see where this discussion will take us. But thank you very much, Tevin. We will come back next week. We had some stories that we could have talked about today. It had some tech things that took place this week, but don't worry, we'll talk about it next week. There's always more tech stuff happening, and sadly the budget coming up, so we're going to have one of those disgusting episodes where we have to talk about the budget promises, but that's okay. I tell you, we go there. Thanks a lot, Tevin. Later.